So welcome to Friday morning. It's just a regular Friday. There isn't really any special things happening that I know of. I think we're in between moon phases. Next week I think is the new moon, and there's not I think it's a holiday today. I think it's like National Family Day, so you can think about your family today if that helps you practice. But sometimes connecting with the ordinary is really powerful, right? So I'd like to connect you to everything that you can possibly take in today, starting actually from the inside out. So really let your attention turn inward. Let your eyes be soft or closed, but let yourself, you can do this on any level, but take some inventory of what is happening inside your body, like what's aching, what's not aching, where's that sore, there's a sore joint, what you had for breakfast might still be waiting to be digested. Checking in with your breathing. Seasonal allergies are in full swing for me. How's your breathing? Checking in with not only the whole body, but taking in how the body is responding to your environment. Feeling into the light. You might be able to hear noises outside or inside. Even hearing noises coming from your own body. And so being extra gentle possibly is the word, or just with very little effort. Take the fingers to the scalp, and eyes can stay closed if you like, and find the muscles of your scalp and the muscles and skin that want to be massaged, wherever that is for you, feeling the bones of your skull. Feeling the lumps and bumps, those the natural shape. And knowing that there's this lack of, like our bodies are just lacking in so many ways because we're not interacting with the world. And so moving your scalp as if you were expressing yourself. And then find the muscles of your face, especially around the eyebrows, and massage along the eyebrows, and being gentle and tender. And really there's no right way to do this. Just feeling into the muscles of your face and paying particular attention to certain areas like this. The end point of your eyebrows is a an important spot because there's a big cranial nerve that passes through this area. And we don't want that nerve to get caught up in dry fascia, right? We want that nerve to be able to fire and to do its job without any interference. So loosening up the skin and muscle around that nerve. And then there's another nerve that passes along the ridge of your nose. It's like I call it the valley because it's really the base of the bridge of your nose against the cheek. So really massaging there. And I don't know if you can see me, but you might even be able to feel a little ridge in there. Another nerve that's important for expression. And we want the face to be expressive. Not only so people understand our response to them, but also so that our nervous system can understand our response, right? If I can't smile, part of me doesn't know that I'm happy. Find the jaw. And eventually working your way back to the neck. And I'm probably going a little fast or maybe a little slow for you, but I'd like you to remember these movements. Remember this way to connect to yourself. When you get to your neck, you might want to use a little more pressure. And then as you get to the shoulders, bring some vigor into this movement. So the hunching and rolling, bringing the shoulders up and back and down and building on the heat. And then as the shoulders warm up, let the head drop to one side. And so I'm dropping my head to my right shoulder. I'm gonna let my left arm dangle in order to create a little more length in the neck. So if I drop my head in one direction, the opposite arm dangles. And then other side. So now I'm dropping my head to the left, so my right arm is going to dangle. And then letting the head come back up, maybe a few more arm circles. And notice that some of this action, some of this movement that we're doing might create a sense of like big sighs or a yawn. I mean, that's a normal reset that the nervous system is going through, which is good. You want to find that bit of reset happening. So extend the arms out in front and then out to a T, flip the palms. And try to bring the hands as far back behind you as you can. And then flip the palms, so the palms are now facing down, and bring the arms back forward. And then keeping the palms facing the floor, raise the arms toward the ceiling, and then flip the palms so that they're facing each other, and then reach the arms back behind you. Palms face the floor and come back around to the front. So would you like to do that with one arm, because it's a little confusing? So raise the arm and the palm is facing forward. Turn the palm so that it's facing facing the opposite wall, and then reach the arm back behind you. When the arm is back behind you, flip the palm toward the floor and bring it around front. So don't worry if you haven't figured out, and keep going. Don't worry if you haven't figured out the palm, because you can't do this wrong. If you don't turn the palm, it'll turn on its own. Like, try doing this without paying attention to what the palm is doing. And you'll see that the arm can't reach back behind you unless the palm is turned in a direction that allows that. So if you're only doing one side, make sure you get to the other side. And do, 5 or 10. This is just the normal range of motion for the shoulders. And so I'm having you do this now because the rest of the class is going to be a lot of hips. So I don't want to miss anything. If I want you to connect to your body, I don't want to miss anything. And you can do all of this in reverse. This is a great thing to do for your for the days that you're sitting in front of the computer for long periods of time. Whew! I need to stop that. So I didn't say this, but if your shoulder doesn't like that, you can do all of that with a bent elbow and lower down. So if you have sore shoulders, it's often the lifting that hurts. So you can do all of that. I don't know if you can see me, but you can do that kind of movement with the elbow low, and that might not irritate the sore part of your shoulder. Okay, I'm gonna move back so you can see me. Stay sitting the way you are. Bring my blanket. So, can you hear me? Yay, okay. So, bring your feet out in front of you. Looks like this from the side. And with your legs in this shape, the work you will discover starts to move into the back, right? The work is not holding your legs up, the work is holding your back up. So notice if you went into a schlump and your whole pelvis turned, or can you hold yourself upright? That will change as we move through what we're gonna do next. I call this is called active sitting. So you can hold onto your legs, you can hold onto the floor, you can do no-handed. I would recommend holding onto the floor to start. So hands on either side of you. Take the legs over to the right and come to sitting up. Move back through center, take the legs over to the left, come to sitting up. And roll side to side. So you're sort of rocking on your hip bones. If you think you have the pattern, you can try to do this without hands. You will see that it changes where you need to control this movement. Moves into the core a lot deeper or more in a more pronounced way. Make sure you're breathing. Doesn't matter what the pattern of breath is. Just make sure that the breath keeps moving. If you want a pattern, it might be an inhale as you lean back and an exhale as you come to sitting upright. Lean back, inhale. Exhale, come to upright. Lean back, inhale. And so once you feel even, pause And actually, let's all pause with the legs off to the right so that my directions will be clear. So legs are off to the right. Torso is upright. And then unstack your legs so they're likely a little bit stacked. Unstack the legs so that this top leg moves back and the bottom leg moves away also. So now you're in that 90-90 shape. If your knees do not like the bend, they don't have to be as bent. And that makes it more awkward to sit. But you can adjust this. You'll see, you can adjust this so that your knees don't feel twisted. You have a pretty steady seat. I'm leaning more on one hip. Like both hips will not be on the floor. Got that? So I'm leaning more on my left hip and my knees are adjusted for comfort. Feet though are pretty far away from the base of your body. Okay, upright shape. This right leg, which is like the back leg, this right leg is gonna lift off the floor. Just the knee, not the foot. So press into the left leg and this foot over here, this right foot, and lift the right knee. Torso stays upright. Lift this knee. If you want to add breath to this, I would say that the inhale happens as you're lifting, but it could be the reverse. Just make sure that the breath is actually moving. And when you find breath and movement sync up with each other, that's where the nervous system says, this is lovely, this is relaxing, more of this, please. So pause. That was a lot on that side. You don't have to do as like rapid fire lifting. It can be slow and just do a few. Lean back, bring the feet around front again, and then do this active sitting again, maybe like 5, an odd number, because the odd number will take the legs to the left, and that's where we'll all meet up. So we're both on the left with legs to the left. I'm leaning more into my right hip. And now I'm gonna adjust my legs. This top leg is gonna move away. Front leg is moving away, like moving my foot away from my pelvis. So I'm in 90-90. Leaning more on my right hip, I'm gonna stabilize my whole right leg. Press the left foot into the floor as I lift the left knee. Ooh, I feel that all the way up into my back. So again, lifting and dropping with like total like control, both up and down. So don't use momentum, just lifting and placing the knee back down with control the whole way. It means you'll have to slow down. And then as you concentrate on that slowness and precision, make sure you're breathing. So when you've had enough of that, come back to feet in front of you. Back to that shape. maybe do a couple. I'm going to do a couple active movements just because that's pretty intense on the one hip and I want to feel equal. Maybe you feel equal. Okay, so starting again with the legs to the right. And I'm leaning more on my left hip. Legs are to the right. And again, if the knees don't like this, always honor what the knees want. The knees rule. So hands to the left. Extend the top leg. So the hands to the left can help you lift your torso so you're upright, but the right leg is extended. So from here, you can stay here. There's a lot of stuff happening in the hip joint here that is really beneficial. So stay here and enjoy this. You can also start to move the whole pelvis, right? So I'm going to place my hands to my left and try to shift so that I'm facing forward. And you can stay here. So you might recognize that this is a pigeon pose. And if you have pigeon pose in your body and you want to settle into a pigeon pose, you can do that. That would look more like this, where the bottom leg is tucked underneath you and you have a very level seat. But also, this is equal benefit. No matter what direction you have turned your pelvis, play with the idea of taking your hands away from the floor so that your core has to hold you upright. And then as all of that is happening, can the breath move in and out of the body? It might be faster because you're working hard. And then let that go. Bring the knees back to a less exaggerated shape. And then we'll move through that active sitting again. Maybe do 3 of these, 3 to 5, an odd number. Maybe playing with no hands. And you might notice that you scoot along the floor. Once your legs are to the left, take the hands to the right, lean more into the right hip and extend the left leg. And so here, this is an interesting shape. There's a lot of benefit here. You can also put weight into your hands and roll over so that the pelvis is facing the mat, and then you're finding your pigeon shape if you want. But there's also a lot of things that can go wrong in this shape. So if anything feels like it's going wrong, since I can't see you, please don't do this shape unless it feels comfortable and interesting. This shape is very interesting, beneficial, and there's a lot of work to do with no hands. Don't worry, we're going to do other things. Good. I'm looking. I can see some of you a little bit. Good. Come all the way out of that. Do a little active sitting. This is like a modified active sitting where I'm not even taking my feet off the floor. Just sort of rolling to one side or the other. Now, from here, we're going to come to standing. So you might want to use this momentum to help you come to upright or to standing. I'm going to use the wall. I want you to use something to hold on to here. I have the wall with my left hand. I'm going to take my left leg and rest the left ankle across my right knee. So from the side, that looks like this. And from here, I'm holding the wall. I'm holding the wall. Let the hip crease deepen. Let the knee deepen as much as is comfortable. Let the foot be flexed. So the toes are really reaching toward the knee. And I'm holding onto the wall. So imagine doing this on your back. This is that number 4 hip shape. And you can play with being straight leg, bent knee, but remember, you got to be careful of the knee because this is not a stable leg shape, right? So you don't want to stress the knee. You want to make sure the knee is not twisting in any way. Come all the way to standing, let that leg come all the way to the floor and do the other side. So using the wall, because I want you to use the wall because I don't want you to think about how to balance in this pose. Rather, I want you to think about what it does in the hips and the legs. I mean, yeah, you're balancing, but go ahead and use the wall. So other side. So I'm gonna take my right ankle, cross it over my left knee, and find this shape that very often we're doing on our backs. So this is number 4 hip. My hip is deeply creased. My knee is gently bent. My right foot, the toes are pulling toward the right knee. I'm holding the wall, breathing. I mean, I think you'll agree there's a lot of work here, even though I'm holding the wall. You can play with balance if you want. I don't care. Woo! So come all the way out. Maybe extend the right leg before you place it back down to the floor. And so now that we are standing on the mat, come to feet a comfortable distance together. So you might like hip distance apart. You might like them more narrow. You decide. I'm going to do hip distance apart and bring my arms up overhead. Or if the shoulders don't want to do that, bring the palms together in front of your heart. If your arms are up overhead, reach up. So the whole body, so it's like you're reaching from your feet through the torso, through the shoulders, reaching and then arching over to the side. If your palms are in front of your chest, the reaching can still happen from the feet, through the torso, through the shoulders. And then you arch and lean to the right. Come back to center, do that same amount of reaching, lifting the whole body, even as you're grounded and settled into the floor. Arch to the left, and then come back to center. From this shape, step the left foot to the left, and then turn both feet, angle both feet away from center. So you'll see what I mean, because once I bend my knees and my toes are pointing in the same direction. So if I didn't point my toes and I tried to bend deeply in my knees like this, I would twist my knees, which hurts even demonstrating like that. Okay, so no toes and knees pointing same direction. Keep the torso upright, bring your hands into cactus. This is called goddess pose. Stay here as long as you like. I'm gonna move into a lunge from here. So I'm gonna fold over until I have even just fingertips towards the floor. Walk my hands to the left, start spiraling my feet, also pointing to the left. Right knee comes to the floor, uncurl the toes, and hands can come to the left knee. Does that make sense? I'm gonna let y'all catch up. So now you're in a lunge, upright, right knee is behind you. Stay here or bring your hands to cactus, spiral the ribs to the right, Spiral through center and spiral to the left. Come back to center. And then take both hands to the inside of that front knee. Curl the toes under. Press back to both feet. Feet spiral so that now you're facing forward again. Take your hands to your knees and press all the way back up to goddess. Make sure your feet are nicely aligned under the knees, keeping the knees safe. Back to goddess. Now press into, especially the left foot, in order to come back to standing on your mat. Arms can reach up just to reset the whole body. And you're back to the center of your mat. Reach the arms up or simply reach the whole body up to lengthen the waist. Arch to the right. Come back through center, arch to the left. Come back to center. This time step the right foot to the right. Adjust the toes so that knees and toes are supporting each other. They're working together. That helps deepen this bend here. Then arms come to that cactus shape. Now we're back in goddess. So in this pose, the torso is lifted, but the spine is still in its neutral or near its neutral shape. So it might feel like you're bringing your hips a little forward so that you're not arching in the low back too much, because that gets pinchy, right? Here we are in goddess for a very long time. Okay, turn the torso towards the right foot now, feet also turning toward the right, and then you start folding over. I may have done this different on this side. Come into that lunge. Left foot is back behind you, and the left knee is down. Let your hands come to the right thigh, and this is a balance. Can you feel it? When you feel balanced, arms into cactus. Spiral the rib cage to the left. Spiral through center until you spiral to the right. Come back through center, hands to the inside of this right foot. Curl the back toes under so that you can press and lift, spinning the toes to face forward, and then adjust the feet, knowing that you want your toes to be facing opposite directions. Hands to your knees. Lift up to that goddess shape. I wish I could see you guys. Trying not to arch the lumbar spine, the low back too much. Looking more for a lengthening of the spine rather than that deep arch of the spine. Lengthening even through the low back. Press deeply into the right foot in order to bring you back to the center of your mat. Reach the arms up to reset and lower the arms all the way down. Come all the way to the floor. Start in that seated shape. Just want to show you an alternate version of the active sitting. So we started active sitting with the feet out in front of you. If you like to, you can play with this idea where you're sitting on your heels. And the active sitting is from here. So you drop the hip over to the right, come back through center, drop over to the left, come back through center. So you can, I'm doing this with my hands as balance. And as soon as my breath comes back, I will do it without my hands. I can tell you that when I do this without my hands, I like to hold my hands like forward. For some reason, this gives me like a cantilever, some kind of, this is a lot more work than the other way. I just want you to see that option. And you can also do the active sitting the other way. Equal, equal. There's no better way. There's just so many different ways to play with this stuff. Okay, from here, come to lying on your side. So this is a little bit, there's a lot of nuance to this pose. We're gonna balance on our side. So I'll show you. I'm gonna come to lying on my right side. And so if my knees are bent, my head is resting on my arm, and my arm is reaching straight out in front of me. So this bottom arm is not doing anything but supporting my head. My knees are bent right now, so that is supporting me. If I extend my legs, I'm now balancing on like this, the knife edge of my body, right? So the very edge of my body. If my knees bend, that helps me, takes out the balance. You can feel it. Go back and forth between bent knee and straight legs. And you can really push your feet as if you're trying to push your feet into a wall below you. And then you'll find the balance. Once you find the balance, you can raise your top arm, my left arm. If you know you're balancing and you want to play with this, if you know you're balancing, just balance. Stay here and balance. It's a lot of work. Can you feel your whole body keeping you balanced? Even, you don't have to have your arm raised. You can also play with, raising a leg and balancing. If this feels easy, then you might not be straight. If it feels easy, your hips might be a little bit bent and you're angling your feet in a way. So play around until you know you are really balancing on your hip. Keep playing. Play with raising an arm, raising a leg. Can't really see you all. We are going to go to the other side. And you know, you can play with this top hand helping you to stay upright because the hand naturally comes to the front, in front of your chest, and that supports you like a kickstand on a bicycle. So play with that. That might be where you choose to play. You don't have to do the leg. That is a heck of a lot of work. When you're ready, do the other side. So find the balance on the other side. So start with total support, like knees are bent, head is just resting on the bottom arm, the left arm. And then play with straightening the legs until you know you have found that edge. And once you found the edge, there's really nothing else to do. My feet lift away from the floor, and I don't know if that's happening with everyone, but just so you're aware that that could be a thing. There's a lot happening here. There's really nothing else to do other than play with this balance. But you can also play with raising the arm, finding a new way to navigate staying upright. You can play with raising just a leg. If you're playing with raising a leg, play with turning the foot. That turn happens deep in the hip. Keep playing. Eventually, when you're ready, I'll give you a little more playtime. This is a good one to do mindlessly while you're watching TV. But to do it mindfully, you might get a little more out of it, making sure that the breath is moving. You're not holding your breath. And that there's lots of intention in everything that you do to adjust this pose. Oh, I think someone is trying to lift both legs. That's pretty cool. And insane. Okay. Pause. End up on your belly. End up on your belly with your head resting on your hands. So cross your arms. So the forearms are stacked and your head is resting on your forearms. And so from here, the top arm, can the top arm, did I say top arm be the right arm? So top arm is the right arm. And from here, can you press into the floor with your left arm and lift your head and shoulders off the floor with your right arm? And then lift the left leg. So left leg, right arm lifting. Come all the way down. Switch arms. And then opposite side is left arm lifting the head and shoulders. Right leg lifts. And in order to make this more work, press the right hand into the floor. It helps lift. Head is heavy. Come all the way to the floor. Switch sides. And do the right side again. So lifting the head, lifting the left leg. Head is heavy. Keep lifting. Opposite leg. So right arm, left leg. Lower down. Switch sides. Left arm is on top now. So lifting head, left arm, and right leg. Right hand helps by pressing into the floor. Come all the way down. And set up to do one final locust pose, which is exactly what you're doing, only this time, lift both arms, lift both legs. Lift both arms, lift both legs. Make sure you're breathing. And come all the way down if you haven't already. Set yourself up for Shavasana. So Shavasana can be so many things. It can be legs draped over a chair, knees supported by a big giant pillow, covers. It could also be lying on your belly. It could also be sitting in a chair. But whatever you choose, however you choose to set yourself up, the intention is to really be able to relax. So the reclined shape is really a nice way to feel how you are interacting with gravity. And before you settle so deeply that you're only barely listening to me, let your eyes open if that's okay. Let your eyes open and let your eyes look straight ahead, but unfocused. So it might be that you're looking at the texture of your ceiling. So with eyes looking straight ahead and not moving, take in the whole view. So even though your eyes are looking straight ahead, there's this whole expansive view that is available to the eyeball. So the panorama, just allowing the eyes that rest, really. The opposite of looking and focusing at a short distance. If you're reading or on the computer. And then let your whole body soften deeply into this shape. And so that might mean that your eyes end up closing. Allow that if you want that to happen. And go back to connecting with the whole body like we did in the beginning of class. Maybe even feeling into any sense that your heart is beating, that blood is flowing, sensing into how all the cells of your body are being nourished by fresh blood and oxygen. Really nothing to do here. And if there is a sense of expectation, just notice that. Or sense of anticipation, notice that. There's really nothing to do. I'll let you know when it's time to reconnect with the outside world. So allowing the whole body to drop into that personal space. with very little ambition or effort. Let your attention come slowly back to this moment, 12:02 on Friday. That might mean that the eyes start to allow some light to come in through a little bit of an opening in the eyelids, and then letting the eyelids open a little more, a little more, a little more until you can see the ceiling or whatever is straight in front of your eyes. And then without much effort or focus, just taking in the whole panorama. Let your eyes be still if that works, or very just gently letting them move left to right. There's no right or wrong, just taking in the room. And then allowing some movement. And whatever that movement ends up being, let it carry you gently through the rest of your day.